Hey everyone, my name is Nathan, and welcome to the second annual Wrapped Awards, or in other words, the First Time Watch Awards. If you're not familiar with what the Wrapped Awards are, it is basically my version of the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes, whatever you want to compare it to, but I nominate different movies that I saw for the first time in the year 2021 and then declare a winner. I have 15 different categories to talk about today, but before I get to them, I want to lay a few more ground rules down. There are a few changes between last year and this year. For one, I've changed up a few of the categories, and so you won't see categories such as favorite TV character or favorite villain of the year or anything like that. Also, one big change is last year I excluded anything released in the current year. I'm changing that. 2021 titles are included in this award show. It is the First Time Watch Awards, and so it should include everything I saw, including the new releases. Each category can have up to 5 nominations. Really quickly, I should throw out there, I'm editing this right now and I wanted to throw in one quick clip, sorry for the spontaneous background. So the absolute max amount of nominees I can have for each category is 6. The only reason it would be 6 is if there's a tie or if I really just can't decide on who to eliminate in the pool of directors or actors or actresses that I'm talking about. But I wanted to throw that out there as I was editing. I think it's important for you to know. All right, sweet. Back to you, Nathan. So without further ado, let's get the Wrapped Awards started. Our first category, my favorite character of the year. The nominees are Fern from Nomadland. She's naive and experienced at the same time, which made me love her. Falstaff from Chimes at Midnight. A big, lying teddy bear you just want to hug the whole time. Jonathan Larson from Tick, Tick, Boom. He never gives up on his dreams. Beatrice Henderson from Mother. She's Mother. Of course I love her. And Pruitt from Here to Eternity. The type of character that never backs down from his beliefs. And the winner is Pruitt. The thing I love about Pruitt so much is that he is the kind of person that I want to be. I want to be that kind of person that when I'm faced with opposition or any sort of conflict, I stand my ground. So he wins Best Character of the Year. The next category, my favorite TV show of the year. Now this is choosing from 9 different shows, both of which include the complete series or just a season. Really my only qualification here is that you can watch a season, but it has to be a season that's the latest season. So if I just watch like, oh, season 2 of The Office, that wouldn't qualify to be nominated because The Office is done now. I'd have to watch the whole show. But in the case of Stranger Things, I watched season 3 and that's the latest season. So that could qualify. With that being said, the nominations are The Queen's Gambit, a mini-series carried by its memorable performance from Anya Taylor-Joy and addicting soundtrack by Carlos Rafael Rivera. The Twilight Zone, a TV show watched that was 15 years in the making. Loki, the best MCU show we got in 2021 and a great show in general. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Despite having a slow start, the final few seasons and furthermore episodes earn a spot for Clone Wars. Survivor. Getting back into Survivor in 2021 was a treat. It's a reunion I didn't know I needed. I watched 5 seasons including seasons 1, 6, 7, 37, and 41, and I'm continuing my watch-a-thon into 2022. And the winner is The Twilight Zone. The great thing about The Twilight Zone is I've been watching this show for years, and it is a completed series, of course, that ended in 1964, but the fact that I actually finished it, that I took the time to watch every single episode, and those last few that I needed to complete the series, it has to be the winner here. I enjoyed all these TV shows I mentioned thoroughly in the year 2021, but The Twilight Zone really is the highlight of the year. And although I only had a few episodes left to watch in 2021, I still found some series favorites, including The Encounter, The Jeopardy Room, and Changing of the Guard. In a new category this year, I have favorite rewatch, which sounds a little hypocritical because it's all about my first time watches. But I think it's very important to highlight my favorite rewatch because there are some movies out there that when you rewatch them, it feels like it's a first time watch because either you didn't remember anything from your first watch or your first watch wasn't very good and when you rewatched it, you liked it a lot more. And so those are the kinds of movies that qualify for this category. The nominations are Marty, West Side Story, Gone with the Wind, The Sting, and Touch of Evil. Each of these movies were movies that for whatever reason, the first time I either didn't care for them or I just found them okay, but on a rewatch, I loved them. And the winner is Touch of Evil. Touch of Evil really impressed me because it was a movie that when I saw it for the first time, I gave it a 6 out of 10. On a rewatch, I gave it an easy 10 out of 10. I was so amazed by it. Now, a little bit of backup. The first time I saw Touch of Evil, I had gotten in a car crash earlier that day, and I think I was just really not feeling good. So it was just not fair to the movie. I rewatched it all these years later and I absolutely loved it. In fact, I loved it so much that it became my favorite Orson Welles movie. Next up, we're getting into some acting categories. So this is a new category. I added in supporting acting categories. So first off, we have favorite supporting performance by a female. The nominees are Debbie Reynolds in Mother, Rebecca Ferguson in Dune, Anne Dowd in Mass, Tatum O'Neal in Paper Moon, and Ariana DeBose in West Side Story. And the winner is Anne Dowd in Mass. I had seen her in other movies, but I had never seen her do what she did in Mass. I'm scared she won't get nominated for an Oscar, but if she doesn't, at least she has this award to brag about. Congrats, Anne. I know you're watching. Next up, we have favorite supporting performance by a male. The nominees are Charles Lawton in The Bribe, Frank Sinatra in From Here to Eternity, Andrew Garfield in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Christopher Walken in The Deer Hunter, and Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man No Way Home. And the winner is Frank Sinatra from Here to Eternity. The great thing about Frank Sinatra was I had never seen him act before. And so you can imagine that when I watched From Here to Eternity, I was just absolutely shocked by how good he was. I knew going into the movie that he won the Oscar, but I wasn't expecting what I got. He can seriously act and I'm very excited to see more from him. Next up, we have favorite performance by a female. The nominees are Ingrid Bergman from Autumn Sonata, Audrey Hepburn in The Children's Hour, Amelia Jones in Coda, Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and Frances McDormand in Nomadland. And the winner is Jessica Chastain. She absolutely transformed for this performance as Tammy Faye. I was very impressed with what she was able to do. She definitely wins. Next up, we have favorite performance by a male actor. The nominees are Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Orson Welles for Chimes at Midnight, Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom, Sidney Poitier in Raisin in the Sun, and Charles Lawton in The Private Life of Henry VIII. And the winner is Anthony Hopkins for The Father. I'll simply say this, I've seen perfect performances and Anthony Hopkins was even better. Let's move on to some movie categories. My favorite animated movie of the year. The nominees are Pompoko, The Secret of Kells, Rango, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Animal Farm. This was a tight race between two nominations specifically, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Rango. The runner-up is Animal Farm. I had a really hard time deciding between these two movies. The only reason that Rango beats Animal Farm is because I wasn't a big fan of Animal Farm's ending. It wasn't true to the book, whereas Rango impressed me all the way through. Rango was just a really exciting Western movie that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. The characters were so unique and the movie felt so unique in general. It didn't feel like just kind of a copy and paste factory animated movie for kids. It felt like a very unique, well-made animated movie, and that's why I loved it. Next up, let's talk about my favorite foreign language film. The nominees are Phoenix, Stalker, Autumn Sonata, and Intermezzo. And the winner is Stalker. Now, Stalker is directed by Andrei Tarkovsky, and when you're going into a movie directed by him, you have to be prepared for either a slow burn or very heavy content or just a plot that's going to really get you thinking, and that's what Stalker did. All of the above, that's what it did to me. Next up, we have another category, my favorite new release movie. So these are 5 nominations for my favorite 2021 release. The nominees are Spider-Man No Way Home, Dune, West Side Story, Tick, Tick, Boom, and Lamb of God concert film. And the winner is Spider-Man No Way Home. This was an amazing year for movies. In fact, every movie that I just listed off at one point was my #1 movie of the year. And so it just shows how great each of these movies were. Spider-Man No Way Home, though, is still a movie that I just cannot believe exists. I'm very impressed with what they were able to accomplish in it, and it also holds the record for my most watched movie in the theaters. So that's really cool too. Moving on to one of our final acting categories, favorite actress in a leading role. Let's move on to some actor and actress nominees. So these nominations are for actors and actresses, not for specific performances, but for famous people who stood out to me, whether it's because I watched several movies from them or the movies I did watch from them really stood out to me and so I wanted to see more and more. It was just basically actors and actors that I spent more time on this year. With each actor and actress, I'll also include how many movies I saw them in, as well as the average rating for each movie I gave them out of 5. The nominees for favorite actress are Jean Arthur, Audrey Hepburn, Ingrid Bergman, Grace Kelly, and Janet Leigh. And the winner goes to Audrey Hepburn. I have a really hard time deciding on a favorite actress of all time, but Audrey Hepburn might just be her. I loved watching more of her work this year. I mean, I got to see a lot of her from my 5 actors challenge where I chose 5 actors and 5 movies from each of the actors. She's just such a good actress. She's so talented and she's so graceful too. I'm so excited to continue to watch her movies. Next up, favorite actor of the year. Quick disclaimer, as I'm editing this video, I want to throw out there that Sidney Poitier had not passed away at the time of filming this video, so in my future comments, I don't mention his passing at all. Had he passed away, I would have definitely mentioned that, but I just wanted to throw that out there before you see the clip. I will be spoiling Spider-Man No Way Home, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch this part of the video. The nominees are Harold Lloyd, Orson Welles, Sidney Poitier, Charles Laughton. And Charles Laughton actually ties with Orson Welles. They both have 3.4 out of 5 average, and so technically there are 6 nominees in this category. Andrew Garfield, and James Stewart. And the winner is Sidney Poitier. Now, you were probably expecting James Stewart to win, or even Orson Welles with the number of films I saw from them. But the thing about those actors is James Stewart, he's already a permanent. I already know I love the guy, and of course I'm going to watch a lot of movies from him. Orson Welles was a blast to watch, but when it came to actors that really stood out to me, Sidney Poitier is that actor. He was another actor involved in my 5 actors, 5 movies challenge, and so I got to watch 5 movies that I had never seen from him. It was just so enjoyable. There wasn't one movie that I watched from him that I disliked. I either liked it, really liked it, or loved it. There was nothing below that. And now that I've seen more movies from him, I'm so excited to continue my watch-a-thon with him. Let's move on to my favorite director of the year. The nominees are Stanley Kramer, Orson Welles, Billy Wilder, Sidney Lumet, Alfred Hitchcock, and Fred Zinnemann. And the winner is Billy Wilder. Billy Wilder is kind of a surprising winner. He had one of the lowest average ratings, yet I saw 16 movies from him, the most of any director. Though the reason Billy Wilder wins is because he was really the first director that I decided, you know what, I'm going to commit to watching his complete filmography. I released his video on my channel, and it was a video I was so proud of because it took so much hard work. I started it back in November of 2020, and it continued on into June of 2021. Unfortunately, with watching 16 movies, of course there were a few duds, but the ones that stood out to me me really meant a lot, and plus getting to know him as a director meant a lot to me too. It only felt right that I devoted this award to him, someone who was nominated in 2020 and nominated this year. This is the last year he could possibly win, and so I had to give it to him. But all the other nominees were amazing as well. And before crowning the best first-time watch of the year, let's look at the worst watch of the year. The nominees for my least favorite movie of the year go to 1941, New Mutants, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, The Cave, and Home Sweet Home Alone. And the winner is 1941. Now, it's kind of hard choosing a least favorite movie because you hate all of them. But my logic here was 1941 wins because it's directed by such a great director in Steven Spielberg, and it's just so absolute garbage. With Home Sweet Home Alone, you have to appreciate at least a centimeter of it because it takes place around Christmas time. So at least you get some Christmas spirit there. With The Cave, I went into it with low expectations, and so I got what I was expecting. Venom and New Mutants are kind of the same thing. But going into 1941, I was optimistic because it's directed by Steven Spielberg, and all I got was garbage, and it was so long and there wasn't one funny moment. It was just a very hard watch and one that I will likely never watch again. The only reason I can ever see myself watching 1941 again is if I'm with a group of friends and we just need to watch a really awful movie to laugh at, then we might pop in 1941. But the moment you guys have all been waiting for, my favorite first time watch of 2021. Now, just a few differences on this category between last year and this year. Last year, I only nominated 4 movies. I took 2 of my favorite first time watches from my top 10 video and 2 of my favorite Criterion first time watches from that top 10 video. This year, I'm doing it a little differently. There will be 9 nominations in this category. It will include 3 of my favorites from my first time watch video, 3 of my favorites from my first time Criterion watch video, and 3 of my favorites from my top 10 of 2021. With that being said, the nominees are West Side Story, Dune, Spider-Man No Way Home, A Raisin in the Sun, Sweet Smell of Success, The Freshman, From Here to Eternity, The Father, and All the President's Men. These were my 9 favorite first-time watches of the year 2021. The question is, what was my favorite? And the winner is Spider-Man No Way Home. It's really hard to compare Spider-Man No Way Home to a lot of these movies because look at All the President's Men and A Raisin in the Sun and The Freshman. These are movies that have been out for years. The Freshman is almost 100 years old. My reasoning with Spider-Man No Way Home is kind of what I was saying earlier, where I just still can't believe this movie exists. It was a movie that on its own, without all the fan service, was a good movie for Tom Holland because I didn't think his first 2 were very worthy Spider-Man movies, but not a reason for it to be nominated, let alone win. Now with this winner, I will be spoiling Spider-Man No Way Home, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch this part of the video. Spider-Man No Way Home achieved what I didn't think was possible. Take out Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and all the villains, and you still have a great Tom Holland movie. That's something I appreciate, but it's not a reason for it to be nominated, let alone for it to win. But the fact that they were able to bring back all these enemies, all these villains from past movies, and make it work so well, that's a reason to love it. The funny thing is, as I was watching it with my dad in the theaters, it was his first time seeing it, and he didn't even know that the villains were going to be in it, let alone Tobey and Andrew. But he turned to me and he said, "This is a cool plot that they're bringing back all the villains." villains. He was already satisfied enough with the movie just knowing that the villains were back. You can imagine his excitement when the heroes came back. Having Toby and Andrew back is the coolest thing ever. It's the reason that it's my most watched movie in theaters, because I just want to keep experiencing them coming onto the screen on that big giant theater screen. I've seen it 5 times in the theaters, which is insane. It only felt right to have a movie that meant so much to me, that I saw so much in the theaters, and that doesn't feel possible, that I have to keep pinching myself to remind myself that it exists. It felt best to have that movie win the reward for Best Movie of the Year. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this Wrapped Awards. This is something that I prepared for all year. You hear all the nominees and the winners in one video, but it's a video that I prepare for every time I watch a movie. I say, oh, that was a really good supporting performance. I gotta add it to this list of other supporting performances I love. And it's something that I'll continue to do, so keep an eye out for next year. Let me know what your favorites were from my categories and from your own categories. If you were to nominate your own movies, what would the nominees be? What would the winners be? I can't wait to read about them. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great day. The winner goes to Spider-Man No Way Home.
I knew it.
Little Sisters.